We have a couple of items to catch up on before we make the drawing. So I'm going to open up the base, and when I go to look for the cosmetic thread, we have the whole thread for the M6, but I overlooked the M20 at the base. So pick up that inside edge and insert annotation, cosmetic thread, and we're having the M20 by 2, and if it goes up to next, let's see if we look at that normal, we pick that up. Let's see what up to next looks like. Alright, so on the practical side, even with a tap, or if we were trying to single point thread this on a lathe, on an internal, not exactly the easiest thing to do. We still wouldn't end up with a thread coming all the way to the bottom. So for offset, let's just go with blind in condition 28 millimeters. See if we can figure out a distance. So that was 28. I think even with a flat bottom, that's going to be a challenge. So let's go with 20 millimeters, and then we'll double check that against the assembly. Alright, so that seems like a reasonable amount. We'll Control S to save. Come back over to the assembly, and so that was kind of the giveaway, is if we look in our view, should see some annotations. No, not finding it. View top level annotation, component level annotations. Alright, so really it amounts to an annotation as our cosmetic thread, and 20 is going to put us right at the edge of binding up before the screws will engage. So that being the case, let's just go back and bring that out a little bit. I don't need my my routing toolbar, so let's come back over to the toolbars. And that was a sketch, exploded sketch. Alright, so that was what we used for the joggle lines to show location in the previous. So again, the cut is just for the assembly to help us visualize, and we have that configuration. So if I come back to the base, come back to the revolve, I can edit this in context, and we'll see what it does. The 3 screws, those go to a transparent state. So if we were to go 22, that would probably give it enough. And from a machining standpoint, I'm going to tap this as deep as I can. I'm not going to try and stop at a certain depth. If we have that whole location, unless I'm given a min or some kind of restraint, we're going to go for that full depth. Alright, so and the default is where I want, well, where do I want the exploded view? Well, let's do both. Alright, so we're going to bring out the first some distance. The auto space is off, so that's okay. And you hit done or the right mouse button. We'll bring each of the screws off to the side, so right mouse button, click, wait for the orbit, bring it out to the side, and done. Alright, so we have that explode view. It's in the default. I believe if I hit Control C and then Control V from the active. Alright, so we need to go back and make that the active. So that's going to possibly move it. Oh, Okay, copy of, I did it twice, so I got 2 of them, so we'll just delete one. And it could stay copy, that's fine. I mean, we're going to repeat the 2 views for our drawing. So Control S to save all, make sure everything updates, and now we're ready for our drawing. So if I go into the Make Drawing from Assembly, or we just go New, the one thing with the Make Drawing for Assembly would be to make sure it asks. If it does not ask, if it goes straight to the default, then we need to go find our settings option. And I'm not sure which one I just picked. So the default templates. Alright, prompt user to select document, otherwise it goes and it finds the ones that are listed there, which are pointed back to my 2017 folder. Alright, so that doesn't look like the sheet format. So button happy a little bit, so new. Go back to my templates, my landscape. Alright, it's in the model view, which is fine. And we'll bring in the assembly. And then the copy of exploded view is checked since it exists. And all I want is the isometric initially. Alright, so that shows my views. And I might want to put a note, detail. Well, if I can type, half detail for illustration only, I don't know. Something that says this is not how the part is to be made, or it's not really going to be split. Alright, we want our table. So bill of materials, we have it defaulted back to the bill of materials simple, so I can go ahead and hit OK. And if it does the standard, that's fine. We can always save another template. Alright, so since the text, the annotation does not move with the view, I'm going to do a Control X, make sure the view is highlighted, and then do a Control V. So now when I move, the annotation is going to travel with the view. So if I do a Control C of the view, Control V, then we can manipulate this back to where I don't want to see it in the exploded state, and I want to see it with the default. The annotation came with it in that case, so I don't really need that one. I'll just hit delete, and that shows it in its complete. Alright, so we'll auto balloon. Everything going off to the right is fine. Hit OK, we'll find our magnetic. And that one's kind of pointed to a weird spot, so grab that grip. And if we miss, it'll go to a question mark and kind of lose what it was working on. Alright, so because this is an assembly, the material and the finish are a little bit different. We're going to test our sheet formats. So I want to, let's just go to the view palette this time. We could go back to the drawing view or the view layout and get our model view. Or if we go into the view palette, then we can pick. So since those 2 items are open, if they weren't open, we would do the ... I'll grab the base. And let's go ahead and bring the top view in. And I don't really want that view, but I'm probably going to need at least one of those to detail the location. So let's go ahead and pick, and then I'll accept. Alright, so I missed my my isometric. Let's go back into the view palette and we'll pick up an isometric view, which looks okay. The cosmetic thread looks like it came in. Want to find a section view, which is going to be a little more functional. Alright, so on this side we have the M6 on this side, and we want to pick up our annotations, the center mark, and if I switch to centers, then it ought to apply. Well, looks like it gave me that one automatically when I went into it, so we'll switch it from notes to center and from notes to center. Alright, and then when I go to apply my dimensions, I'll have the layer switch over. Alright, so let's see if we can stretch that out a little bit, clean it up for our detail. Alright, one more sheet. We'll bring in the screw. Alright, so those come in. Not really going to do a section view. Probably will do an end. So I'm just going to bring off a projected view and the isometric view and accept. Alright, so this would also be where we have to decide what the value of those threads are. So if I look at the configuration, maybe I didn't make one. So let's go back into the part file. Alright, so we added the group, and I'm going to add a configuration. So since this is a suppression state, it's going to be a configuration, not so much a display. So let's maybe call it cut threads. So my default will be the one with the cosmetic threads, so I can suppress that group out, go into the revolve, and we will show the cosmetic thread. So when I'm looking on, I'll see the simplified thread form. That'll be a little bit easier to manage, but we'll also have it available in the isometric view to be able to detail. So since the configuration is linked to the parent, we'll switch over to cut threads, and then I want to rotate so that we can see the end view. So 90 degrees and apply. And that looks pretty good. Alright, and since everything's linked on the view, then the isometric rotates. So if it doesn't go the way we want, we'll rotate it around. And the view size 1 to 2, let's see what it looks like 1 to 1. Maybe a little bit big on the isometric, but not too terrible. Alright, so that gives us our views. We'll switch back over to each of the parts. I believe these were mild steel. They even called it out. Don't see any call outs, so we will pick up with the material, and we'll just go plain carbon steel for now. Save it, and then our file options, since we haven't built any of those into our default template, then things like the part number, something along those lines. Actually, maybe make that the second one, and then the revision. Okay, so just to give you a sense of, oh, and then the material needs to also, if we're going to call it, we need to apply it. So material, and then this is going to be a SolidWorks property, and it will default back to what we've applied material. So go ahead and save. And don't need to close that just yet. Swap back over, let it rebuild. And if it did that correctly, it didn't pick them up. So I don't know, need to double check which configuration I was in. That should have been the plane. It might still be defaulting to the threaded. So that's going to be one of the downsides of managing the configuration, managing your metadata out of the configuration, is if it tied originally to the threaded and the view, then this information could be tied in that group. So let's just check it real quick. We'll add a material up in our file properties. If I go over to the cut threads, let's just add a material. And material not specified for that one. But it would still, when I would go over to the drawing, it would still show material not specified, so we'd know it's at least pulling it through. Alright, so I have some corrections to make to my sheet format for that to work. So that's what it's supposed to do. Alright, so we'll put some dimensions. Go ahead and get this going. And since we're in the magenta for the center line, I'll come down to my layers, switch to dims. Find my overall. We're in 2 decimal place inch. Alright, so your choice to stay in inch or switch over to millimeters, grams, and seconds. And if we do the whole call out, that'll pick up the thread. So the through and through near side would probably be better, since it doesn't say through all. We might be able to, we do that. I would just make sure that that's as clear or that it's understood. Alright, since that's on center line, we could also pick the view of the body and auto insert. And I don't see, it's not popping up, so we'll just go over and make it the center. And then it switches back to dim. Alright, so that's enough to say it's on center line. And select view and accept. Nope, that one it didn't get. Alright, so maybe for the section view, if I pick the 2 outsides, go center line. There, put it in. And we'll switch it over to the center line. Okay, so with the detail view, we'll pick the whole call out. And I'm not ever really fond of their fonts for the section view, so may want to change that, but we'll leave it for now. Internal geometry. And I think from the inside, we go to that group. Let's see if the whole call out will pick up the thread. So the 16 millimeter by 4 is the very inside. Alright, so counterbore 32, 18 to 28. So if we do that, then we're going to have a little bit more to contend with. Alright, so even more, but the nice thing is it's coming from the front datum. It still didn't pick up the cosmetic thread, which I had this problem before. The 18 by 73.5 deep would be the actual thread though. So let's see if we can find that. Not showing me the cosmetic thread though, which should be the bigger. And see if it'll pull that. From the model. Nope, still not finding it. Okay, so let's try the model items then. And if I select Alright, that was interesting. My mouse kind of hung there. Alright, so selected feature, import items into the destination view, and let's. Well, it's not exactly picking up the destination view, is it? Alright, so whole wizard profiles, whole wizard locations, not marked, and whole callouts. Now let's see if it'll give it. No dimensions inserted. Alright, and then interestingly enough, they're just picking it, it shows the cosmetic thread, but going back to grab it, it's not grabbing that one. So let's just try the regular dimension and the M20 by 2 machine threads. So callout is a little bit over the top, but it gives me the desired result and it's associative. So that being the case, let's just go with the other whole callout. And since this is the parent, we'll kind of move that down a little bit, find some room. Alright, so the 45.5, the 22, we could give those as reference just to verify the starts. Alright, since most of the information is going to come off of this with the M20. Alright, so I'm not 100% on the callouts, but I think that will get us the first pass. Alright, let my SolidWorks catch up. Okay, so dimensions, we can go overall. Work off of the end, 23 to 28. And to the back. Okay, and then if we are picking up the hex, probably an overall. I'll move that out of the way. See if the whole callout. No, I'll pick the 20. So let's go to the smart dimension. And it picked up the cosmetic thread again with just the standard dimension. So let's see if we can go there. And because we have those gaps, I think I want to tell that that's going to be 3 times. Alright, so each of those diameters is 20. Alright, and then cosmetic thread, and then the undercuts, find that Oh, interesting. Alright, so let's see if there is an autosave, or did I lose my group? Alright, so it was not behaving well. And since I did not save, it looks like I get to start over. So I'm just going to do one more quick double check. It said there was an auto recovery, but I have to go locate it. Alright, so I think you can take it from there. I think there was enough on the video, and I'll recreate and see if there's anything that I really need to mention to close out this drawing. Save often. Okay, after a quick run back through, I did want to point out the material and the finish. That in the properties, it's still carrying over, same as sheet specified in document properties. When I uncheck that, that's basically going back to the very first page. So if I apply the changes, that's going to allow this to update. Save. Open. Would like that to be the cut threads view. And when I open, okay, so what I didn't check, or was not specific to the properties, we have something like the finish, and that can be raw. Since I didn't put it in the group, we'll go ahead and add a few of the other items just to see it populate. Okay, make sure to save and close that. And now we have the revision. Did not bring the finish over. Alright, so there again, that's that issue with the configuration. So maybe the finish, right click and open. Maybe something like the finish needs to be applied to the custom. So if we, if we're, or it didn't take it out. No, it was the default. So I don't really want to duplicate it for each, then I'm going to make it a custom, assuming that it is across all. Since this is the same part, it was only the detail. Really, these should have been in custom. So to that end, let's do a quick experiment on the cut threads. If I highlight those and Control C, and then bring them over and Control V, okay, and then I'm going to save, because there is a hierarchy. And now it looks like it's pointing to the custom. So if there's duplicates, I believe the custom has priority, but you will want to make it a little less confusing by, if you're going to apply at that level, then we need to also make sure to remove those so that it doesn't create any confusion. Save. Alright, so we have our populated values, and probably the same with the base. Alright, so this one only had the one configuration. It went custom as well. Alright, so when we talk about the get that one in there. When we start talking about setting custom properties, we'll have to have some of these decisions in mind to help us with making those decisions.